huge task, which means it's not just an anti-terror operation. It's not one terror op. It had larger ramifications.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So now tell me, you're on your first week of June.
So the next day, we made out our little plan that one battalion will cordon the place, one battalion will enter from this gate, another one will come from that gate, and we'll start this operation round about 9 o'clock at night. We need time to fight, and we need time to clear the Golden Temple. And it must be done before dawn, before what we call first light.
A few hours only.
Few hours only.
And thousands of people inside.
Yeah. Because if you wait till it's daylight, the news would spread. Now people are sleeping in Amritsar. They don't know what's going on.
And it's the age before cell phones and things, so there's no way.
There was no way. But by next day, the news would have spread that the Indian Army is inside the Golden Temple, and people would have started rushing in. So this operation had to end by dawn. And if you started it too early, it's not dark enough. You don't have the cover of carrying out your task. So the best time we thought was around about 8:30, 9 o'clock. We'll start this operation and be over by 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning. That was the hope. Of course, it took a little longer. It went on to about 7:38, 9 o'clock, because Akal Takht wouldn't give in. We were suffering heavy casualties. Machine guns were firing from us from places which we never imagined, which we couldn't see, from within walls, from within doors.
There was no satellite imagery, radar imagery, nothing. You didn't know the position of the guns.
No. So it was like a boxer going into the boxing ring with one hand tied behind his back and allowed to fight with only one hand, because you don't have all the resources with you.
Why?
You don't know where the enemy is. You don't know who the enemy is, where the weapons are. So you don't have a free hand.
Resources, you didn't see. It's said that you could have taken in anti-tank equipment. You could have taken heavy machinery inside.
No, you see.
But didn't you?
We didn't want any damage. One of the General Sundarji had given me 3 terms of reference. He said the operation must start as soon as possible, but definitely in the next 3 or 4 days. It must be over the same night, because of the reasons I just gave you. And you must make sure that the minimum damage to the Golden Temple, to the buildings, and to human beings. Minimum damage. There were a lot of civilians inside, religious people inside. You can't just shoot them at will. So you went into this action with number of holds. Your hands were tied. It was you couldn't do whatever you want. You couldn't just walk in with tanks.
So that's what we said, that tanks, anti-tanks, machine guns, did they go in at all? Bulldozers?
No.
Because the entrance is so narrow.
You can't go in.
You can't go.
No. You have to start breaking the walls and all that.
So there's a lot of disinformation. The reason I'm saying this is because, Jan Sahab, there's a lot of disinformation that there was heavy weaponry that went in. You're saying...
Tanks. One tank was brought in around about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, when we were suffering very heavy casualties. They came in from the rear, broke that door, and came onto the parikrama with one aim. The aim was, they have a very bright light called the xenon lamp. You know, it
blinds you.
It blinds you. The idea was that they will switch on their lights And the people in the Akal Takht, from where we were getting the heaviest amount of firing, most of our casualties took place in front of the Akal Takht.
So they were firing from the Akal Takht onto the Indian army,
Yeah.
which was in front of the Akal Takht.
That's right. So we wanted these tanks now, or one tank or two tanks, to try and blind those people so that at least for a little time you're blinded and our troops can get in.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, when the first light came on, it lasted not even 1 minute, a few seconds and got fused. These bulbs get fused very fast. Then we brought in another tank.
How did those tanks come in? So they must have broken some walls or something.
No.
Because the path is too narrow.
No, they were able to enter the parikrama through a gate.
Okay.
There was a gate there. And they had to break a little bit of the parikrama to get on.
Yeah.
So, putting lights on these people to blind them and put our troops forward didn't work. The firing continued from all directions. And we didn't want to bring in heavy weapons because of the restriction given, minimum force, no damage to buildings, no damage to the temple, etc.
So the Akal Takht was not fired upon by the Indian army?
No.
Okay. They were firing from the Akal Takht. The Indian army took the casualties but did not fire on the Akal Takht.
They
Am
did
I
not fire.
right in
You're
putting-
right.
Okay.
We did not fire on the Akal Takht. We were firing at the people who were outside the Akal Takht. Maybe if someone has fired from inside the Akal Takht, to return his fire, someone may have fired. You can't say at that time of the night if anyone did or did not. But the orders were not to fire towards the Akal Takht. But then the fact is, what do? You just allow your men to keep dying? You got to take some action.
You were there inside the temple?
No, I was outside.
Did you get information that within X number of hours, so many soldiers of ours are down?
Yeah.
How many people did we lose in that matter of 8 to 10 hours?
In those 8 to 10 hours, we must have lost 3 to 400.
And what were the casualties on the other side, would you know? How many people died on the other side?
On the other side?
Yeah, on the terrorist side.
On the terrorist side, maybe about 500 to 600.
Okay. And there must have been some civilian casualties too.
Some civilian casualties. In fact, they weren't allowing the civilians to go out.
The civilians were used as shields.
As shield.
By the terrorists.
By the terrorists.
Okay.
And in fact, on the day that we were to go in, my officers started making calls on loudspeakers from outside the Golden Temple to say that we're going to come in. If you want to fight, it's up to you. We would suggest you avoid bloodshed and we come to a peaceful agreement. But if you insist on fighting, okay, but please let the civilians, the women, the children, the men, innocent people, let them come out. No one came out. These announcements went on for 2 hours. No one came out. After 2 hours, 7 or 8 old, sick guys came out.
Okay. Too feeble to stay inside?
From them we learnt that they're not letting the others come out. They've held on to them.
Okay.
So...
You debriefed those who came out?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. We debriefed them. So now the question was, when they were not taking heed to our loudspeaker announcements, how long can you go on delaying the operation? Because the longer you delay it, you're not going to end by dawn. it'll become 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the daytime. In the daytime, you'll have thousands of Sikhs all over there.
So are you at this time getting calls from Delhi, from Chandi Mandir saying, Jao andar? Or was a date given to you beforehand? How did it happen? Was a date given to you for entry, or was it left to you to decide when to enter?
No, General Sundarji had set up his command post.
Where was that?
Outside the Golden Temple,
Outside.
on one of the buildings. I had my command post. I was in touch with General Sundarji on the radio all the time. All my subunit commanders from all the battalions were in touch with me all the time. How many casualties they've suffered, what is happening, how much of the ground have they gained, what difficulties are they finding. So we were in touch all the time.
So what happens when you enter, when the troops enter, Indian troops?
I'll tell you.
What is the formation?
First, let me tell you that on that morning, when we went in, that morning I decided to address all the troops who were going to go in. About 5 battalions or 4 battalions. I started at 5 o'clock in the morning. Went to one battalion, then to the next one, then to the third. I spoke to them and I explained to them what the situation was. I said, the situation is terrible. They are holding this religious place as a fortress. They're determined on establishing Khalistan. There's no law and order left in the state. We have to go in. We have to recover the Golden Temple from these terrorists. If there's anyone amongst you who doesn't want to go in for religious reasons or any other reasons, I don't hold it against you. Just stand up and stand aside. Your commanding officers are here. I order them that no action will be taken against you. 1st Battalion, no one got up. 2nd Battalion, no one got up. 3rd Battalion, one young Sikh boy, he got up. I said, no problem, son. You don't have to go in. You have strong feelings. I told the CEO, I said, he won't go in. He says, you've got me wrong, sir. You've got me wrong, sir. Not only do I want to go in, I want to be the first one to go in. I want to be the first one to reach the Akal Takht and to get Bindunwale.
Amazing.
I said, you're a very brave man. I salute you. And I told the commanding officer, his platoon will be the first to enter. And he will be the platoon commander with these troops there. Brave fellow, Captain Raina, Sikh boy. Belonged to the Jammu area. You have a lot of Sikhs there also.
Yeah, there was a chief, no? General Raina, there was a chief also.
Yeah, there was a chief Raina also.
Yeah.
But he was...
no, he was not.
No.
Yeah.
So, I spoke to everyone. He was the only one who got up and said he wants to go in. Okay. So now, the operation started. His platoon was the first to enter the Golden Temple. And as they entered, fire came from all directions, heavy firing on them. I could hear people dying. They can't make progress. He said, I'm trying very hard, but there's a lot of firing going on. And from underground tunnels also, there was firing going on, from the walls. So then I had to rush in more troops. And I told his commanding officer, I said, how is he? He said he's been very badly wounded. Both his legs have been shot.
Captain Raina.
I said, evacuate him. Bring him out immediately. I have an ambulance waiting here. I'll send him to the hospital straight away. He said he's refusing to come out. He's crawling. He's going on all his fours. He's carrying on. He says, I'm going to reach the Akal Takht. I'm not going back. I said, now forcibly, because he's bleeding so heavily, forcibly pick him up and bring him out. So he was forcibly brought out, sent to hospital, immediately evacuated, both legs amputated. Both legs amputated. I got him the Ashoka Chakra, the highest award that you can give to a person not in actual war. He got the award of Ashoka Chakra. He went into Raj Bhavan. I was in Raj Bhavan the day the award was given to him. He was not married, so his father and mother accompanied him. He was in a wheelchair without his legs. And the president, instead of, you have to go up the 2 steps to receive your medal from the president came down 2 steps to pin the award on him because he couldn't go up.
Captain Raina.
And I was there with tears in my eyes, and everyone in the audience had tears in their eyes that this is what our Indian soldiers are. We are ready to give our life. And when I spoke to the troops on that first morning, I told them, I said, we are not going against any enemy. We are not going against Pakistan or China or an external force. Just remember, we are going in there against our own people who have taken up arms against the state, against the country, who have become traitors to this country, and they want to establish their own state. So when you go in there, don't think you're going to war. You're not going to war. You're going to get hold of these people, these misinformed people who have got onto the wrong path. And I want you to keep that in mind when you are fighting this action. These were my briefings to them.
Sir.
And they were now all prepared for it. So we suffered casualties, they suffered casualties.
Who took out Bhindranwale and who took out Shah Beg?
We don't know. They were inside their command posts in the Golden Temple.
Was he fighting too? Bhindranwale?
Shah Beg Singh was fighting.
Bhindranwale.
No, Bhindranwale was,
No.
There's so many things I can tell you about Bhindranwale, but I don't want to. But
He was no military commander, right?
No. He was a religious man who could give you sermons.
So because I'm simply asking because now there's this whole cult worship which happens of him, and I've seen gurdwaras
With his photographs and
Yes.
everything, yeah.
with his photographs, and I can in the social media he's painted to be some kind of a military person, some hero.
Nowhere. In fact, some of the things that we discovered about him inside the Golden Temple, I won't tell you. Some of the things that he did there, you would be ashamed to hear even. And some of the things that we saw were too horrible for me to speak about.
General Shah Beg, you were with him. He was a comrade. You worked with him in the service.
No, he was
And
a
then
soldier.
he was a soldier. He
was a
died
soldier.
there. How does it feel when you see the body? When you see that one person with whom you shared so much,
Yeah.
and he's there?
I had no feelings left because I said, how can he have done this? How could he? He was a soldier. When you join the army, put on your uniform, you take an oath that I will preserve the integrity of the country. I will fight for this country. I said, here is a soldier who's not fighting for his country, but he's fighting against his country.
So he was a traitor, and there is nothing about his past
No.
that redeemed him, you
No.
feel?
So, although I admired the man earlier on, but when I saw him here, I had no admiration left for him. He was doing something which you wouldn't expect a disciplined soldier to do.
Yeah, but one can't feel a sense of what a waste.
So he was found dead, still holding his revolver in his hand.
Yeah, I believe so. So tell me, General Saab, that operationally could things have been done better? Because a lot is said that maybe if the operation had been delayed by 2 days, I don't know because I was still a student in those days, but what I've read is that people say maybe if the operation had been postponed by 2 more days, or if you see what happened with Operation Black Thunder, that was a better planned operation. We were
I'll tell you Black Thunder first. There was no Bhindranwale in Black Thunder.
Correct.
There were no strong religious leaders in there. It was a normal Gurdwara. By that time, they knew that the army has gone into... One before, they'll come in here also. So, there was no way that they were going to fight or offer a fight or anything. They just meekly surrendered.
And I think the wait out was done, right?
Yeah.
Rajiv Gandhi also at that time decided that there was so much disinformation which happened in the previous operation. In Black Thunder, we had our cameras focused there all the time.
Yeah.
So it was under media glare. So there was that fog of disinformation.
That's right.
Which was there in Blue Star, was not there in Black Thunder.
The media was sent away from Amritsar.
Yes.
All these people, media fellows that I know, when I meet them, they say, we weren't there, we were sent away.
2 days before that, Mark Tully and the others.
Yeah.
They were told 2 days before that, that leave because nothing's happening.
We learnt our lesson, and therefore in Kargil, all our media was present when the operation was taking place in Kargil.
Right.
So Black Thunder was, I don't call it any operation, they just...
a flushing out of terrorists. Yeah. But whereas Blue Star was
they were fighting for death, fighting for what they believed in. They believed in their own state, their own country, their own thing, their own... they looked at us as enemies. They considered themselves a different class of people.
Just 40 years later, when you look back, could we have done things differently?
I don't think so. We've thought about it often. After the operation, I discussed with General Sundarji also a number of times. A lot of things had been discussed. Can it be done in any other way? If you delay it, as it is, Khalistan is going to be declared any day, then you would regret that I delayed it and they declared Khalistan.
And Pakistan was actively supporting.
You see, and then all those problems would start. At the same time, the news would be going around that the armies are there, we have not started our operation. The crowds would have started coming in towards the Golden Temple. So maybe we wouldn't be able to start our operation with all the civilians converging on us from all directions. General Sundarji was a very intelligent man. He thought of everything before doing this.
In your military history, in the annals of military history, will this be seen as a botched up operation, semi-botched up operation, successful operation?
Those who are anti us will say botched up operation. I will say, let me see anyone else who would have done something better and come out successful.
Right.
It was not easy. I know what nightmares I've been having after that even. It was not easy to carry out an operation like that.
The post-traumatic stress disorder that one hears about. What
most difficult orders I've given in my life to my soldiers. You're being fired upon, you will not return fire. Someone is firing at you from the Akal Takht or from the Harminder Sahib, you will not return fire. You take the fire and die, but you will not return fire. Some of the most unreasonable orders you give to a soldier who says, I'm here to fight. If I'm being shot at, I must shoot back. And you say, no, you're not going to shoot back. So sometimes I have this feeling in me that maybe I couldn't sleep for many nights thinking, how did I order these people, pass such orders?
You were told to give these orders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will not fire in the direction of Akal Takht or the Harminder Sahib.
Do subscribe to the ANI Clips channel to get shorter versions of this podcast. Click here to watch the full episode.